Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes Tottenham Blog and to another Tottenham transfer roundup on the day that Daniel Levy, according to the Telegraph, has stopped taking calls from Manchester City. Lautaro Martinez comes close to signing an Inter Milan contract, and the Dusan Vlahovic deal looks to be dead in the water as well. I'm delighted to say today I'm joined by Slav to go through these muddy waters of the latest Tottenham transfer rumours. But first of all, Slav, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you getting on?
Nah, pleasure, mate. All good. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Time's ticking on in this transfer window, and it's just sort of at the moment, bleetering out, and nothing's really going on with 18th of August. Best part of 10 days, 2 weeks to go. Nothing, and nothing is really happening in terms of incomings. But yeah, it is what it is. It's nothing that I'm not used to. So
Exactly. Nothing that the majority of Spurs fans aren't used to. But look, like I said, there's so much to get through today. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the defenders, move on then to the attackers, which is one of the biggest parts of this. But we got news today on Nikola Milenkovic, who of course Tottenham are apparently interested in. Fabrizio Romano has said that Tottenham are not planning a bid for Milenkovic. Gianluca Di Marzio has said that Milenkovic is very close to renewing his contract with Fiorentina, and Sky Sports have also said that it's looking increasingly likely that Milenkovic will stay at Fiorentina this summer. Slav, for me, this was looking like a really good potential deal for Tottenham. £50 million he would cost his coming into the last year of his contract at Fiorentina. A tall, powerful, composed defender, and all of a sudden it looks like Tottenham have just given up on it.
Honestly, I don't know why. I actually thought this one would get done just because he's so cheap. He's 13 million euros or whatever it was. It's probably about 10 million quid, and we're saying that is exactly what we should be going for, and we're not doing it. And I actually am speechless as to why we aren't, or why we're not going for it. I mean, unless they think he's absolutely terrible, then it's beyond me why we aren't going in for him.
Do you think it's possible that it has anything to do with the Vlahovic deal? Again, we'll go in a bit more detail on that later, but it's weird when you're looking at some of the targets we've had this summer. We had two players from Sevilla in Brian Hill and Jules Koundé. There was two we wanted from Atalanta, which we ended up getting in Galini and Romero. Then there's two from Fiorentina in Vlahovic and Milenkovic. Do you think that's just a coincidence, or do you think that could be part of Paratici's style and it's either two or none on this front?
I think it's coincidence. I also think he's bought players from Fiorentina before as well. In Federico Chiesa at Juve. On the whole, I just think it's coincidence. I don't read too much into it. I think if you wanted both of them, all you got to do is pay the money. It's a buyer's market, and everyone knows you want a player, you pay for him. It's as simple as that. It's not that complicated. At the end of the day, if you really want to buy somebody, you buy it. It's the same. It's the same sort of thing you get what I'm saying. Yeah. If we wanted them that badly, we'd buy both of them. We obviously don't.
Absolutely. I think we could clip that a little bit, saying if you want a player, you pay for him, and just send that to Manchester City. But another centre-back we have been looking at is one who's definitely much higher in calibre and quality, and in so much, especially in price, and that is Pau Torres of Villarreal. And I think when that one first came out, there was a huge element of kind of hope rather than expectation with something happening here, and Fabrizio Romano today completely killed any lingering hopes of that one, and he said there's no chance of a move to Tottenham. He wants Champions League football. I assume there's just no surprise in that one, is there?
No, I mean, to be fair, I don't think he's as good as everyone makes him out to be. I watched him at the Euros. I've seen Milk turn faster than him. But yeah, I don't know. He's at 50 million. We weren't going to spend 50 million pounds on it, or euro, whatever it is. We weren't going to spend 50 million on another centre back after spending 50 million on one. Or 40 million, whatever it is. No chance. And yeah, these players don't want to. They don't want to come and play in the Conference League. I don't blame them. That's not. Unfortunately, we've left it 3 seasons too late to start going for these players. This should have been the case 3 years ago, and now we're paying the price.
Absolutely. I said it about Fabio Paratici as well. People are saying we need to give Daniel Levy credit for getting a director of football, and we need to give him credit for getting a manager like Jose Mourinho and this and that. But every time he does it, it's too late, and it's just not possible to say after the failures that we've had and how we've kind of fallen in the last couple of years, he deserves credit for trying to get us back there, because he had us there, and he messed that up. And if we had Paratici a few years ago, I know perhaps it wouldn't have been possible with him specifically because of what he was doing at Juventus. But if we got someone in that role and in that kind of position that could do what he's doing now and attract these players, there's nothing to say that Tottenham wouldn't be competing for the title on a yearly basis now.
I don't know about. I mean, top four we'd have no issue, but how do you compete with Manchester City? I mean, they're trying to buy our best player, who's worth 150, 200 million pounds. How are we supposed to compete with them? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think isn't it they're spending something like 916 million pounds since Guardiola came in.
I think that's the amount we've ever spent.
Probably
more. So, I don't expect much, but I expect a bit of enough to get us in the top four. We really should be in that. Well, there is no point in this whole new look Tottenham Stadium wise and all the facilities if we're not in the Champions League.
For definite, I couldn't agree more, and I feel like that's kind of the main point of frustration with Tottenham fans this year, because I know it feels like we shouldn't be. It's not like we should be attracting these players, but it's everything else is in place there except what's happening on the pitch. And for me especially, it feels like Levy sacrificed the progress we were making on the pitch in order to get everything sorted off the pitch. Because I'm fully convinced if we had one more season at White Hart Lane, there's no reason again why we couldn't have won a title. Clubs at 17 wins in 19 games in that last year at White Hart Lane, and I feel like it all just kind of came at the wrong time. And that for me is one of the biggest frustrations. And there could be another frustration rumbling because Kurt Zouma is now apparently the centre-back we are most interested in. Sky reported yesterday that Tottenham are interested, and Christian Falk said today that the interest is genuine. And he said what would have been one of the biggest stumbling blocks in this deal is Chelsea's reluctance to deal with Tottenham. But he said they are willing to do that. Now, my biggest fear is the reason Chelsea are willing to negotiate is so they can sell Zouma, which will free up the space and add some funds to potential move for them for Jules Koundé. But first of all, on Kurt Zouma, do you think he's a good target for Spurs?
No. Simple as.
No, full stop. That's John.
We sit here and ridicule Arsenal for signing all these Chelsea players that aren't great. Well, then we just go and do the same thing. I think it's bonkers if we sign him. I don't think he's that bad. I think he's a good defender. I think he's really good. Well, not really good. I think he's good, but I don't think he's better than anything we've got, which is the problem.
I think the biggest.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the biggest thing with Zouma is that he's as good as the defenders around him. You know, when Chelsea, when they've had their poor defensive seasons, he kind of fits in there, and he's also been below par. But when they're playing well, he seems to play well. And when you only have Christian Romero as probably the only competent defender in our team right now, you know, if you're putting Zouma alongside him, maybe he'll be good. But alongside a Dyer or a Sanchez, if they are even going to be in the team next season, I think you're asking for trouble on that one with Kurt Zouma.
Exactly.
What do you make quickly on the future of Dyer and Sanchez? Do you think they'll stay?
Do I think they'll stay? You're gonna. One of them will. I don't see anyone paying for Dyer will stay. I don't see anyone paying for Sanchez. I really don't. And then you have the problem if you sign another centre back in this window, you have to get rid of one of them because you can't have those two new ones, and Joe Rodon, and am I missing one? And Tanganga. You can't have the best part of 6 centre backs at the club. But then that's the problem. We can't shift out these players. It's not even just Sanchez. There's half of them. Why is Aurier still here?
I think the biggest thing with Aurier is just a lack of an interest in him, and I think
kick him into what he did with Danny Rose. Like just get him away. I don't want him anywhere near this team. Same with Sissoko. Like do what Arsenal did and just terminate, mute, whatever it has to be. If you're not going to sell them for anything, just get rid of them. It's just so. We're not going to get anywhere with these players. When I say we're not going to get anywhere, I mean we're not going to get in the top 4 with these players.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. And Darren in the live chat just says, no Zouma. Chelsea have had about 15 managers in 3 years, and he's never been a starter. And that's a pretty good point there. If you can't get his place down in that team, he's
been on loan for places. I'm pretty sure he got relegated at Stoke.
I think you're right, actually.
So yeah, no, not for me.
Probably want to avoid there. Darksum G with the 5,001 super chat. Darksum G, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. Says, hey Matt, are you going to be on the watch along for the Wolves game? I am. I'm on the watch along tomorrow night for Pacos de Ferreira, and then on Sunday for the Wolves game as well. And he says, also, how did it feel to see all our players fight for the badge against City? It was incredible, and I know a lot of people said it on Twitter, saying it's the first time in a while that we kind of felt proud of the team, and it was, as much as we beat City at home, this is the first time where I felt deserved. And I think everything that was done on that pitch outside the opening 15 minutes was absolutely perfect. The fight of the players like Tanganga and Skip, even Dele Alli ran more than anyone else on the pitch. You had Lucas Moura having one of the games of his life. I suppose quickly, Slav, what did you make of that game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing. The atmosphere, you could sense that we just weren't gonna. I say concede, but you could just feel that we weren't going to lose that game. You could just after the first 10 minutes, you just thought that's it now. There's no way we're going to lose this game. We'll be fine. I thought each and every one of them were brilliant. The players that were terrible last season were really, really good. Yeah, I mean, look, it was against a City team that was obviously needed Harry Kane. A City side that looked a bit they were playing walking football at times, and it was probably a good time to play them. Not everyone's back. Kevin De Bruyne had about one training session coming off the bench or wherever it was. A really deserved win, but I think there's best time of the season to play them was now, where they often start slow and they looked a bit one-dimensional yesterday. But I think if they do get a striker, whoever it is, I think they'll be fine. Well, they'll be fine anyway.
They probably will end up walking the league in the second half of the season. But I saw, I don't know if it's a tweet or someone said it to me, but it's the first game they've ever seen where, to some extent, both teams were missing the same player. I thought it was really funny to hear about that.
Yeah.
We've a super chat here from Govan with a £1.80 says, honestly, don't think we're signing anyone else. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. I do think there will be another one or two signings coming in, but I completely understand where the kind of pessimism and the fear is coming in from, because it just, the more this window goes on, despite the signings we've already made, it's just feeling more and more like the same old Tottenham. We'll again touch a lot more on that when we get to the strikers. Darkson G 2001, thanks again for that, says, I hope for 2 to 3 more signings before the window ends. And that's where I'm kind of thinking we will end up at. Do you think we will see that many more, Slav?
Problem is, I think whoever we aren't linked to. We're linked with all these players, and every day, each link, something happens. The player signs a new contract. The player says no, they won't agree. If whatever it is, and now it's like if they're trying to get another defender, then who's it going to be? Because they've said the Tomiyasu deal fell through. Torres rejected us. Kunde rejected us. Milenkovic is signing a new contract. Where does that leave us? And I can't think of another defender that was heavily linked. And then the strikers, Martinez is signing a new contract, and Vlahovic looks like he's going to either Man City or Atletico Madrid. So I don't know who we're going to get.
Yeah, it's weird. It seems to have followed on from the way the managerial hunt went, because you were interested in Eric Ten Hag. He signed a new contract. Pochettino signed a new contract. Simone Inzaghi went to Inter Milan. You've Antonio Conte taking a sabbatical for a year, which I think says all you need to know about interest from Tottenham. But it's just frustration after frustration after frustration. That's the worst bit. But you mentioned there the Takehiro Tomiyasu deal, and that does seem to be dead in the water, because we were told it would be completed after the Olympics, and it's nearly 2 weeks since Tomiyasu left the Olympics. A bit of an update today from Corriere de Bologna, who said Spurs have made new contacts in recent hours to sign Tomiyasu. Again, not the most reliable source, and they also say the club are now competing with Leicester City for the defender. Was this one that you were hoping Tottenham would get through, Slav, or do you think it was just...
I wasn't really bothered. I wasn't really bothered, but now I hear Leicester want him. Yeah, I'll take him. Leicester's recruitment's the best. Leicester have the best recruitment around, so yeah, I think he'll be really good.
That's enough for you. Honestly, Leicester's recruitment.
I don't know. I do think we need a right back now more than a centre back, because unless we sell a centre back, then I think it's pointless. I'd love a new centre back, but like I said, we've not got space for one at the moment, and I think if we can get a decent right back in, then we could be in business. But I think we need a player in each position. I think we need a midfielder or two as well.
Yeah, I think we do. And Naita Hernandez is one of those names that's being linked. But quickly, before we leave defenders go, do you think that performance on Sunday will change Tottenham's approach to recruitment of a new centre back, or their urgency to get one of Dyer or Sanchez out? Even though it's only one game, do you think Levy might use that as a way to... Yeah,
Levy will. You can't. It was so obvious that we need another defender. Even with that, but we were really good defensively on Sunday. But that's one game, and I just think there'll be different challenges over the season. We'll have to play Man City again, who will be much more up for it. Chelsea, United all look absolutely brilliant going forward. Liverpool as well. Leicester. So I do think I just don't think we'll be successful with these with this defence, albeit Romero to come in. But I just think he needs a very good defender next to him, and I don't think it's Dyer or Sanchez.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sanchez to some extent can be that type of player who would be kind of made better by the centre back beside him. Like we saw it with Oliveira a few times last season. But consistently.
How long are you going to give Sanchez? He's had 3 or 4 different managers in Poch, Mason, and Jose, and now Nuno. All right, Nuno we yet to see, but every year he's sort of been given. He's been here since 2018. That's into his 4th season, I think, or even maybe 4th, 5th. I don't know. But he's not exactly set the world alight, So I just think it's time to cut our losses on these players. It's the problem. They get too many second chances.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems we have is there are just so many players that we need to get out, and so much deadwood. You have the ones that I'd say were kind of top of the list, and the Oriers, the Sissoko's, the Winks, maybe Sanchez and Dyer in that list. But then you seem to have the other ones at the club aren't actively trying to get rid of what these reports on Ndombele, that if the right bid comes in, we'd be willing to let him go. But you think?
I've had enough of him. I don't care how good you are. Pathetic.
Do you think at 24 years of age he deserves a bit of another chance? Maybe, or he's more time to develop, or are you done?
24. You're an adult. You're a full-grown adult.
True.
He's been here 2 years. Club record signing. Doesn't do it enough. Never fit. 3 managers now don't fancy. In fact, Poch didn't really fancy him on the pit when he was here, even though he wanted him. Jose definitely didn't fancy him, and Ryan Mason, he didn't make the squad once, I don't think. And now Nuno, he isn't even featured in any pre-season game. Cameron Carter-Vickers getting more minutes than this guy in pre-season. Like this, if you're not up for it, go. I don't care. If you can get 50 million for him, or do a swap deal for him with someone that actually care. You saw on Sunday how in a football team you need people that care more than you need people like Ndombele who doesn't care but has the talent. If you have 11 players fighting for each other, you'll win the game. If you have 10 and one dicking around like Ndombele, you won't.
Yeah, look.
If he wants to come down and play, and prove it, then prove it. But if you want to go and you're considering your options because your best mates might leave, then go. I'm not interested.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous storyline. I don't know, how true it is, of course, but if he is even in any way slightly debating whether he wants to stay at the club because we're selling his friends, I had Romano on Monday, and he the way he put it was, "This isn't school." Like it's just that's not how things work, and if that's it, that attitude certainly isn't there. But look, if we are going to be letting him go, one player that could be coming in is Nahitan Nandes. Just to touch quickly on a report today from Gianluca Di Marzio, who said that the Uruguayan is looking for a new team. There were first contacts from Paratici's Tottenham, and the negotiations are proceeding. So that is one to keep an eye on over the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks. I think the price being mentioned is in and around 30 to 35 million euro, which is I think something like 25 to 30 million pounds, but we'll keep an eye on that one over the next few days and see where that goes. But onto the wonderful medley that is Tottenham transfer rumours with regards to strikers. And Alistair Gold was one of the first to report on this today, who said that Tottenham are looking to sign a new striker with Vlahovic and Martinez top of the list, but the plan was to partner them with Kane rather than replace him. And this is an interesting thing that I've noticed. Within the English media, all the reports on the striker seem to say that they want him to partner Harry Kane, whereas outside of it, I know Matteo Moretto has been very vocal on it, is that they want him to replace Harry Kane. Do you think with these bids we've reportedly put in for Vlahovic and Martinez, do you think it is to partner Kane, or do you reckon it's to replace him if he does go?
I have no idea. I actually have no idea. I don't think he's going just from today because he posted on social media, albeit a pretty pathetic one.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you were going, you wouldn't post that. What's the point?
That's fair. Yeah.
Why is this? Why? Anyway, I don't know. I mean, it's very Tottenham now to end up without Harry Kane and those two top of the list signing new deals. So I don't know. It's such a tough.
Our luck to end up with Dane Scarlett leading the line next season.
Yeah, I think he'll stay, and I don't think we'll get either Vlahovic or Martinez.
Yeah,
That's
like I was
what.
saying, those two do look to be somewhat dead in the water. We do have a super chat here from Kendall, by the way, with the 170 rand. Thank you so much for that. Says, I don't think we need a right back because I think Tanganga will be amazing as our starting right back with Doherty as backup and hopefully Sel Surge. Do you agree? Well, look, I think Tanganga was one of the best players, if not the best player on the pitch against Manchester City on Sunday, but I just feel at his level of inexperience, I don't know if you can trust him over the full course of a season, especially
Yeah,
with the kind of fixture congestion this year. Do you
I
agree on
mean,
that?
yeah, I mean, you'll remember at Newcastle away back in must have been March under Jose February with the 2-2, and he was awful right back that day. He was dreadful. Um, so I agree with you. I don't think you can trust him for the full season. I think he's a nice option to have. I think against the bigger sides, he's actually really good player to have because I think he's a good one-on-one defender for the talent that these teams have. And then on the break, he's helpful to have. But I think if you're trying to break teams down or you're playing against like somebody like Newcastle or a Burnley or something, I just don't think he's the one. I think you need a very. I think you need a right back, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I feel like Tanganga doesn't have the offensive capabilities of what you would want because as a centre back who in recent years has kind of been pushed out into that right back position, I feel like he'd encountered the same sort of problems that we had with Juan Foyth. That defensively he is solid and he is good, but he's not the man that you want whipping in the crosses on the right hand side. As good as Foyth has become at Villarreal, I feel like a team at the level that we're at, or rather the level we want to be at, you'd hope for a bit more kind of competence, I suppose, in that area of the pitch. And that's no criticism of Tanganga.
No.
The whole way throughout.
I wouldn't get rid of him at all. I just think we need a right back. We need somebody of the same level of Carl Walker.
And I feel like that the quality that Tanganga has developed by playing right back, if we do ever need to switch to a 3 at the back, he'd almost be the perfect option to play in that kind of right centre back role, which is brilliant to have.
I would have loved for us to have gone for Denzel Dumfries or somebody like that. So yeah.
Look, we'll have to see if Spurs do go back in for right backs again. It just seems to depend on sales. If Aurier or Doherty do go, there could be in for another right back there. But back on Dusan Vlahovic, there have been a few reports today with regards to Manchester City potentially going in for him. Fiorenzo Viola has said that City have already made an €80 million bid. He's an alternative to Harry Kane, and Sarah Maney has said that Vlahovic is actually getting close to joining City, and the next few hours are decisive. Now, these two aren't exactly reliable sources, and I do feel as though they kind of jumped the gun a bit because I doubt Man City, when 2 days ago they were putting in a €150 million bid for Harry Kane, I doubt they've already turned around to Fiorentina and tried to bring him in. But the Fiorentina president has also been speaking about Vlahovic and the interest from Atletico Madrid, Spurs and Man City. And he has said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm planning to keep Vlahovic this summer. I want him to stay. But if we receive a bid for €100 million, I'll think about it. And slap straight up, that's just too much, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I've never even heard of the bloke before June.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. I don't know who's even out there as well, other than these two that you could bring in as a striker. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I'm getting concerned, I'll be honest. I mean, I think Danny Ings was a nice kind of comfort plan B if we did need it. Yeah. Not as a priority. When the Telegraph said earlier in the summer he was who we wanted to partner Kane, I was quite worried. But of course, with him gone to Aston Villa, now that's gone, and you think maybe we're under a bit more pressure to get in a higher profile striker because the last thing we need is just Harry Kane this season, especially with everything that's gone on. But the other striker we were looking for was, of course, Lautaro Martinez. And there's a few bits to get through here because Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that the first bid Tottenham actually made was worth €70 million with 20 million in add-ons. So a bid worth €90 million to Inter Milan that they turned down after the Lukaku deal. And Romano is now saying that Martinez is close to agreeing a deal to sign a new contract with Inter Milan. The final details to be completed over the next few weeks. Matteo Moretto, Di Marzio and Alfredo Padula are saying the same. They're saying maybe there is a bit of a discrepancy between what they want, but a deal is expected to be completed. And first of all, touching on that bid of €90 million, that's a massive statement from Tottenham, but yet again, it's one that's failed somehow. What do you make of that?
It shows that we've got money to spend, but whether that's money because Kane's going or whether that's money because we actually are trying to be a bit ambitious and say to Harry Kane, look, we're trying to get this player to play up front with you. We think it'll work. We think that'll be the difference. I don't know which one it is. This whole Kane scenario makes everything so complicated to share your opinion on because you're like, well, if I sit here and say, oh, I think it's a good move. It shows the intent. Maybe we can go and get another striker to play with him. But then Harry Kane goes. It's sort of means nothing what you say before. So it's like until the saga of Harry Kane is really sorted out and we know for sure what's going on, it's so difficult to judge.
Yeah, I think it is. And anyone who watches this channel regularly will know my confidence was not sky high, but I was relatively confident of being able to get in Martinez, because when we went in with that initial, what we thought at the time was £65 million, it felt as though that couldn't be our highest bid, because we wouldn't go in straight away with our highest bid, and there was room for negotiation and improvement on that. But the sale of Lukaku, I think, has just completely dampened any chances of that happening if they were already there, because you're hearing now Martinez is happy in Milan, he wants Champions League football, which just keeps coming back to bite us. But like you said there, look, the thing that matters is Harry Kane, and you alluded to this post earlier. Harry Kane put this up on Twitter today with the caption, "Another session in the bank." And
doesn't even feel. Just put that back up. Put that back up. Look, that does not look real.
It does. Look at his left foot, seems photoshopped.
His left.
Oh god, looks like it's halfway in the ground. Oh, why pointed this out to me?
But I was looking at the top half. It looks like it looks like somebody else. I don't know.
Whatever it is, it's a PR disaster. I'd say that much. And it's interesting because Kane has apparently today got new representation, and Charlie Kane is going to take the backseat in negotiations. I think that's according to Lily White Rose on Twitter, who when he does come out with stuff tends to be very reliable. But what are your thoughts on how, I think I know what the answer is going to be, but what are your thoughts on how Charlie Kane has kind of handled this whole situation?
Honestly, there was the tweets that were coming out yesterday was funny. I was scrolling through them. Honestly, I was laughing at for ages. Look, it's not even about opinions on Charlie Kane aside. Look, it's pretty obvious that he's not very good at his job. But if you're happy, I don't have. Why would you? If you're Harry Kane, why would you not have somebody like Mino Raiola as your agent, who you know will get you the deal, will get it sorted, or will have something like? Why would you sign a 6-year contract with no clause whatsoever? Like, it's just ridiculous. So it's no fault but his own. I think the PR has been an absolute, like you said, absolute disaster. He gave a really pathetic message 5 days after the training situation, and then he's just decided to randomly post a picture of him, what is supposedly him, on his own in the training ground. No congratulatory message to the players from Sunday. Literally nothing, mate. Like, at least show that you care a bit.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest kind of frustration Tottenham fans had, is it when he doesn't play games. When he does play, sometimes he tweets, sometimes he doesn't. But he's not there, there's always a message on social media, especially after such a big victory. But when the talk of that was kind of going around as to why he hadn't posted, I was genuinely sitting there wondering, who was he actually supporting in that game? Because if he's this season planning on winning the Premier League with Manchester City, I see no reason why he wouldn't have been hoping for City to win that game, which is actually quite upsetting to think about. But look, we'll never really know exactly how he.
I don't think he was sitting there thinking that. It's the first game of the season. Spurs could win the league. I know we won't, but it's just, who knows. I don't think he was supporting anyone. I think he was probably more interested in just watching the game and seeing how it unfolded. I don't know, but I just think the whole PR is a mess, and I think that it just needs to be made a decision now. Because if we're going to sell him, it needs to be now, like now. And if we're not, then let's move on.
Yeah, I think everything. Sorry, what's that?
They need to make a decision.
Yeah, I think with everything dragging on with him, not traveling to Portugal, not being in that game against City, and with the information I have, not even being at the stadium for that game against City, it's not helping anybody. And I think it all comes back to the debate of having the season ended before, or having the transfer window ended before the season starts. But look, I don't think we're going to get that anytime soon. Arvinder here with the £2 super chat. I think he's getting a little bit worried because he says centre back and striker are musts. Bit of poo coming out. It's an interesting way of putting it, Arvinder. But I do agree, we do need to make those signings. Kendai as well, the 80 rand, says Nandez is not needed because Skip is basically a new CDM and our squad, and in our squad we'd rather get a Cam. Look, I agree. I think Skip has a lot of potential this year, but with the lack of experience he has at this level, I might put him in a similar bracket to Tanganga, where you don't know if you can trust him over the full season. But I think Skip is probably closer to being able to be that player than Tanganga is. A quick quote on the Kane situation, Slav, because Simon Jordan, former Palace chairman, I'm pretty sure, talking on TalkSport today, just about the situation, says it's wrapped in unprofessionalism, unrealism, and a lack of understanding. And I think he's hit the nail on the head there from the Kane parties in the way they've approached this. You mentioned that 6-year contract they signed with no get out clause, no buyout clause, no nothing, no way out of the football club. And yes, at the time we were third or fourth season in the Champions League. We were had finished second the season before. We had Pochettino, everything was going swimmingly. But it was bizarre that they can sign a deal like that and sit here today and genuinely think that Daniel Levy is the man to blame for this. And speaking of Levy, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the Telegraph have reported that Levy is no longer accepting calls from Manchester City. And this is just a classic Levy move, isn't it?
Was that last night they said that, right?
It could have been last night or this morning, yeah.
Yeah, no, I find that hilarious. You just didn't. Then when you read that, you just imagine that like Levy just going, no. I've got Shake Mansour on the phone. Shall I put? Yeah, no, we'll just put that over. Is Dan? Yeah, you reckon he probably leaves his phone in his office and he's probably got his PA probably just going around going, Daniel, is someone on the phone for you?
It's like, no, I don't want this.
But yeah, who knows? Just needs to be done. But and you say you're talking about him not going to Portugal or being in the squad on Sunday. I'm not too bothered about that. I don't think that makes a difference. I don't think he would have played Thursday in any situation. Let's be real. It's the playoff conference. Like, you can't have your first appearance of the season in the playoff conference league. You just can't. And so I'm not surprised on that one. What will be telling is Sunday. This Sunday is the big one, because Sunday against Man City it was 50-50. I think if it wasn't Man City on Sunday, if it was somebody else on the opening day, I think he would have probably been on the bench. But obviously he wasn't in the squad on Sunday against Man City. To be honest, I think it's understandable, and I think it was the right call. And same goes for tomorrow. It's not a nothing game, but you shouldn't need Harry Kane anyway in that game.
Yeah.
Obviously, from maybe a fitness point of view, it would have been good to get some minutes or something. But I think Sunday is the big one. If he's not in the squad Sunday, I think we can panic.
I think we certainly will panic, to be honest. But Nuno has been quoted today in his pre-match press conference for Pacos de Ferreira talking about Kane, and he said he was asked if Kane will be ready to face Wolves. He said, I can't answer this. I can answer that he's getting better and better, fitter and fitter. He will join the group on Friday. Then he will make the decision on Sunday if Kane will be part of that team. So it's another one that's going right down to the wire, but it'll be extremely interesting to see how how that one does pan out.
That is a bit worrying.
I feel so bad for Nuno and all this. He seems to be completely oblivious to what's happening, and it's not his fault at all.
I don't think he's oblivious. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He knows whether he came. He knows he'll get an update every day of what's going on. But I agree. I feel bad for him. It's not his fault. He's just trying to do his best. He's just trying to get a team playing the way he wants. He's just trying to win football matches. And to be honest, Harry Kane is actually ruining that, which is why he needs to either go or stay. And look, if he wants to go, I will not. I don't care. Go. I just want the money that you are worth and that we are asking for, and I want time to spend it. That's all I really care about. And I will. And if he goes, it will just show his true colours as well. Well, I get that you want to go. I get that you want to go. We all got that you wanted to go when you said you wanted to go back in March or April, whenever it was, when the first rumours came out. We all understood why. It's the way he's gone about it that has now made all the Spurs fans turn against him, and the way that he's continuing to go about it. It's really, really, it's just disappointing, isn't it? I mean, I don't know about you, but I just feel a bit like it's like a punch in the stomach, isn't it? It's just like I appreciate he's given us years of great service, but he's never won anything for us, and he, is going about it in the wrong way. He should give. You get what I'm trying to. You get the point I'm trying to make.
I do, yeah, and I said it all up until Monday a couple of weeks ago when he didn't turn up to training that I feel like he deserves a move but isn't entitled to it. In that, like him, if he went to City, I would have been happy for him and I would have, wished him the best of luck and whatever. But since the way he's gone about it, you're thinking, like, why would we want the best for you if you're going to treat our club like this? If you're going to disrespect and lie to our fans like you have, like that statement the other week, I thought was a load of crap. I didn't believe a word that was in that. If he had actually not skipped training, why not say that on the Monday or even on the Tuesday before this whole media storm starts going around and your name has been dragged through the press and all that? He said he was upset to see that happen, But on Monday when these stories leaked, he would have known it was going to happen. So why not nip it in the bud if you're actually in the right in this? I just don't get.
No, I agree.
But
And
anyway.
he's just ruining his own legacy, and he'll come back. If he goes, he'll come back to Spurs as a City player in a game, and he'll get booed.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't think he wants that.
To be honest, I don't either. But if he does continue the way he's going about things, I wouldn't boo him personally, but I could see why other fans would, and that's a heartbreaking thing to have to say about the man who's been the face and the main part of our team for the last 6-7 years. Super chat here from Bobby. Bobby, thank you so much for that. With the £2 says it's time for Paratici to earn his Don title, and I hope he does, but I'm losing faith in that every day that passes. Jiminy as well with the $15. Thank you, Jiminy. Again, you're an absolute hero, and I do love the support. Says, hey Maddie, to be honest, I love Kane, but I'm disappointed in Kane's side of this. If he didn't want to be here, he shouldn't have signed the contract on the terms he did. He better get it together. I'm over it, and I completely echo those sentiments, as I'm sure a lot of the Spurs fan base would. One final story on Kane coming from a questionable source at best. Miguel Delaney has said that City are preparing a £150 million bid, which is believed to be enough to, quote, start Tottenham talking, but I can't see too much truth in that. Miguel Delaney, especially when it comes to City, has been known in the past to be a bit of a laughingstock. But Slav, before we wrap up, there are 4 quickfire stories I want to bring to you because they're coming from some unreliable sources. The Mirror are saying that Tottenham are set to make the move for Houssem Aouar. Is that a move you'd like to see?
Yeah, might make Ndombele try a bit harder. No, I think he's a good player. And Matt, let's be real. You and I both know the real reason we want him, as in personally, because it will piss off that lot up the road. and that's the only reason I really want him, because they've wanted him for a year and a bit. It would just be really funny, but I think he's a good player anyway. I don't mind who we get in central midfield. I think the names we've been linked with are good players. As long as we do get a midfielder in, I think whichever one they choose will be a good player. I quite like the list of targets that we've got, but I don't know if there's any truth in that. But I would like to see it happen. Yeah, I really would. I think he's a talented player.
For definite. Another super chat here from Darkson G says, even if Kane leaves, at least we have Son. Son is our top class player, and he brings a positive environment, cares for the club and fans. Son is better than Kane, in my opinion. And I think every day there's another faction of the fans that are joining you in that one, Darkson G. But we'll
in denial, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, I suppose there is an element to that, but look, if there's no fan base that's more stubborn and more salty than Tottenham fans, when it comes to things like this.
Regardless of what I think, I'm not. If he leaves, I won't like him anymore. But let's not beat around the bush. Harry Kane is irreplaceable and the best striker in Europe. He is incredible. He is our best player. I love Sonny, and look, I don't think Son's a striker either. I think out wide, he's brilliant. I love Sonny. He loves us. He is the best. But Harry Kane is the man. Like, let's be real. He's our best player, and that's why this whole saga is going on, because it's him. He is at the moment he plays for us, and he's our biggest asset. And I actually think if we could keep him, top 4. I really do.
No.
I think if we could keep him, we could get top 4. And I think if he put the effort in that he put in last year with a proper coach in Nuno, we look good. We look better at the back. Some couple of good additions: Romero, Galini, Skip coming back, another couple of players. I think with Harry Kane, we could be a very good team. I think we could really challenge for that top 4. We let Kane go. You're kidding yourselves if you think you get top 4. I think we could build a good team. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be another tough season if he goes. It really will.
I think it would be like Villa losing Grealish, that we'd be a more balanced side, but all in all, we'd have less quality.
Yeah. Villa, exactly. And Villa said that some Villa fans they gutted that Grealish left, but they spent money on Ings, Bailey, Buendia, whoever else. I can't remember who else. All these players, and they thought, all right, we can at least be maybe better because all these new great players. And they lost to Watford. They were well beaten, and they were well beaten by Watford. So. Don't think that won't be us for a minute. We beat City through just sheer grit and determination. We wouldn't have when we've got other teams to put. Look, Sunday is going to be a massive, tough game. Their first home game back with the crowd. I remember going to Molineux. They get up for it. They'll be up for it. They've got a new manager. It's Nuno back at his old team. Raul Jimenez is back. They've got just a good team. Adama Traore. It will be a tough game on Sunday. Sunday, I think, is going to be tougher than Wolves will be tougher than Man City was. Because at least with City, you know what you're going to get. And if you can, and you know, but Wolves will be a tough game.
I think it will. And I said it straight after that game on Sunday. Fantastic, incredible performance. Again, proud of the team for the first time in a while and all that. But we're not going to get that 38 times a season. We'd be lucky if we get that 5 times a season because there's just so much in the occasion that got the players up. And it was great to see, but let's not expect that consistently. So another story I want to ask you about: the Daily Mail are saying that Tottenham are set to make an approach for Adama Traore. Do you think he's a good option?
Oh, I think he's a good option. I think he'd be quite good for us, but it's not. That's a non-starter. We're not spending 40 million on another winger. We just bought one.
We did, yeah. I think 40 million is too much of an asking price for him as well. Just to end on I'll call it a bit of a funny one. Before we get to that, sorry, Jiminy with the $8 says, but we won't fall apart if Kane leaves. At the end of the day, what have we won with him? He's the best striker in the world and we have no trophies. And look, I don't think that's a sign that we wouldn't fall apart without him. I think that just goes to show that he can criticise Tottenham all he wants about not winning trophies and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, on the big stage, time and time again, he hasn't provided for us. And as our main player, the onus is on him. As much as he may like it or not, he may have gotten us to that point, but it's like Daniel Levy getting us to the pinnacle of winning the league, or to the brink of winning the league, and then where we are now, if Kane gets us to those finals and doesn't win it, well, I mean, he's as much to blame as any other player in the team is.
We won't fall apart if Kane goes, but we'll struggle for a little bit until we start, until we get some decent players in to replace him, and until they all gel. And to be honest, the best night supporting Tottenham in anyone's lifetime since the 80s, or maybe 90s, but probably the 80s, 70s, 60s, Harry Kane wasn't playing.
Yeah.
So Lucas Moura scored a hat-trick. That Kane didn't play in pretty much any of that Champions League run, bar after the group stage, bar Dortmund. So, and he only scored in the second leg. That is, hang on, Son, Llorente, Vertonghen. Yeah, that is right.
Yeah. I was actually at that game, actually.
So yeah, it's he is. We will not fall apart without him, but we are a much better side with him. Let's not deny that.
Yeah, for definite. Look, we're going to wrap it up on this one, Slav. It was going around on Twitter earlier today. A mixed reaction from a lot of fans on this one, but Harry Winks has unfollowed Tottenham on Twitter and Instagram. Does that matter?
Probably upset because he wasn't playing on Sunday.
Probably.
I'll unfollow Harry Winks. I don't mind. I don't know. Who knows? He's another one that if you get 25, 30 million for, you'd accept it. But who's going to come in and pay that for a midfielder with 2 Premier League goals, 3 in 5 years, and 1 range Europa League goal that was a fluke against some Farmers? So, like that's the problem.
Yeah, the best goal of his career, which is a mishit pass. It sums Harry Winks up perfectly. Tim Mount with 450 super chat, absolute legend again. Thank you so much. Says Kane will leave the last week of the window, and Levy will pocket the money and leave us with no strikers. This we should never accept. And I agree, we should never accept that. And if it does happen, I think
that'd be right.
As much as there have been protests and people have turned against Daniel Levy, this will be the last straw for a lot of people. And I feel like Levy could be on his way out of the club in the next couple of years. If he does do that, with a massive payday, I'm sure, but not in a positive light at all. Jimmy says, agree with you both completely. Great discussion. And Romero as well said, Slav is such a good addition to these vids. And I absolutely agree, Slav. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. A great discussion, talking transfers. Always love your input. Thanks a million for joining me.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on.
Pleasure's all mine, trust me. Look, to everyone who's still watching, there's over 600 people in the live chat right now. Let's see how many have joined us so far. There's been big numbers when Slav is on. There's been nearly 3,000 joining us over the course of this stream as well. Thank you so much to all of you for joining. Make sure to hit that like button down below. It really helps us out in pushing the stream out to more and more people and letting YouTube know that you're enjoying it. And while you're here, you might as well hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 12k. Hopefully get there before the end of the transfer window. I greatly appreciate all that support. Thank you to everyone who's watching. And you're nearly there. There we go. There it is. It's so confusing when these cameras are flipped. But look, to everyone for watching, to Slav, to everyone for the super chats, for the support and all that. As always, thank you so much for watching.